very unique episode of Minty Media. You see, so I decided I wanted to do a little more freeform thing. This is completely uh, no script or anything, just me talking about something, and I think I'm gonna call it. I think it's gonna be like, what is X? So I just talk about something. Um, and for this one, for the Star Wars first one, we're gonna talk about Michael's Minty Music, which is my music playlist. That's very large. It has that many views and has only the mintiest music, and also this Google spreadsheet, which I'll go to later. And it's also collaborative. So there's a lot of history with this playlist. It starts almost. This playlist has been going on for almost like 2 years, at least. A little more than that, actually. And it starts off the year before. Um, I was listening to more music, and I started listening to the YouTube which mixes that they sort of make for you every once in a while, and those are pretty good actually. They're still pretty good today. For today, the only problem I had was that it was hard to find new stuff with them. It just kind of shuffled the all the stuff that you already knew. And summer of 2018, I basically decided, why don't I make my own playlist and I'll add stuff to it so then I can listen to that one. And I'll add more stuff so that it'll get varied. And I also realized that there was a collaborate feature with YouTube, so I figured let other people collaborate as well, and because then I'll just hear more music. So I started adding the songs, and these are all basically songs from my YouTube mixes. I just went through and added a bunch. Um, Mostly Queen, but there's a bunch of different stuff here. A little bit of Billy Joel, a little bit of Duran Duran. Um, Billy Joel here. A lot of '80s stuff, but there's some new stuff too. Imagine Dragons. Um, yeah, a lot of '80s and sort of just sort of classic songs. Imagine Dragons. I always liked Imagine Dragons. Duran Duran. Some One Republic there. That's the newer Duran Duran song. Just sort of pop stuff, and then Bill Wirtz because I liked Bill Wirtz, or well, some of his songs. I don't like all of his songs, but I do like most of his songs. Maroon 5, Smash Mouth, All Star, of course, Coldplay, and then here at this point I stopped using my YouTube mixes and decided I'll just add the songs that I missed. So this is mostly Imagine Dragons stuff. That's their first album. This is their second one. So then here's some other Billy Joel that I missed. Maroon 5 that I hadn't gotten. Some Mumford and Sons, just a little bit, not a lot. And then here we can start to see some of the other people adding stuff. I think the first one is no, up here. Yeah, so this is Parker. He added this one first, I think. I don't think anyone added anything before that. So he's the first one to add stuff, and yeah. So now we start to get Parker and then Peter. I don't really like this song, but whatever. One of the things I decided very quickly on is that I wouldn't remove any songs. I would leave all the stuff that people liked on the playlist, so that if people wanted, they could also listen to the playlist. More Bill Wirtz. Peter added some stuff. Parker stops adding stuff very quickly because he decides he doesn't like it. And Noah's one of the second largest contributor other than me. John. And then George Ezra. I got into George Ezra. A little bit of Coldplay. That was good. More George Ezra. This is his second album. It was new at the time. Some Loading Ready Run stuff. I added this as soon as it came out. Peter added it. So that was
November 2018, I think. Yep, pretty sure November 2018. And this one I think I added as soon as I heard it too. Same thing with this one. And then, Origins, when Origins came out in November 2018, I added most of the songs onto the playlist. I think all of them are on here, but Peter added the last one. So here's some other stuff. Shadow Whales, good alt rock band. Just some other stuff. I would sort of just leave it for a while. Then here, I started my listening through all the albums of people, starting with Billy Joel. So I actually accidentally skipped his first three albums. So this starts on Turnstiles instead of Cold Spring Harbor. Stranger, 52nd Street. I own a disc for that. Glass Houses, Nylon Curtain, so it just goes through all the stuff. And then here at the end, I get back and listen to the first three. And then we have a break period. And then I get started on Queen, because Queen and Billy Joel are the main two. But I actually take a break sort of at the beginning of Queen, because I wasn't really, I just didn't want to. It was sort of springtime, I was busy. But here I really start going on it. And I listen to, all of them really. I think I started my listen to one album a week thing here around this time. Although I did take some frequent breaks. And then here is more random. Well, every time I take a break, you'll see a bunch of, usually the other contributors add a bunch of stuff. And then I'll add, more afterwards when I get back to it. Invisible Man, good song. All of these are good songs pretty much. And this is their last album. It's a Beautiful Day, Made in Heaven. So I finished Queen and, took a break here and got on to Duran Duran. And Duran Duran I did not like as much as Queen and Billy Joel. You can see I'm adding less of their albums. I'm already on Big Thing here. And yeah, this cover album wasn't very good. And these are their new ones, so this is 2004. And that's 2007. And I actually like this album, kind of. And then I took a long break here. I'm surprised there isn't, there's only that many songs. And I got on the Beatles. Getting to the Beatles took about a year. So this was fall 2019 by the time I started this. And at this point I was just doing one a week. And I don't think I ever took a break, so. And I really like the Beatles. I added a bunch from all of them. They're the largest single artist on the playlist. Sorry about that. I had some sort of issue. The thing started loading videos. But yeah, I'm on the Beatles, and then around this time, this is about spring of 2019? No, this is spring 2020. So at this point, yeah, I went through, not fall, I think I started in winter, so winter 2019 into spring 2020. I finished, I was listening to this right when we got into quarantine. So like the first 2 or 3 weeks of quarantine, I was finishing out the Beatles. That was pretty fun. And then here I stopped for a little bit, and then I realized I had missed a bunch of singles, so I went through and I added a bunch that I liked. because the Beatles are the only ones who, because when their albums came out during the '60s, there wasn't commonplace to put the singles on the album as well. And then I finished Undertale. When I finished Undertale, I went through the soundtrack. So if you know the timing of that final episode, you'll know the timing of these songs being added. And there's a lot of them because there's a lot of good songs from the soundtrack. I think this is my favorite, but there's a lot. Megalovania. And then here, during the summer, I took a break here for a while, but during the summer I started on working night shift, and I started listening to NXS, which was an interesting choice for me. It was one of the ones that it was really, I don't know, I just kind of chose it because, my mom had said that it was good, so I've gotten a bunch of suggestions, so I just chose one. And throughout the summer and into the fall, I was listening to NXS, and they're pretty good. I like them. Although there is a bit of an issue with the YouTube versions. They don't have all the albums, unfortunately. But yeah, I was going through NXS, and they sort of get worse at the end. And then halfway through, I listened to the Portal soundtrack. This is only the first Portal soundtrack, not the second one, because I only finished the first one at this time. So, although I did finish the second one and then add the final two songs, but I haven't finished the co-op mode, so I don't want to listen to the whole album yet. And then I go back to NXS the next week. And I think I take a little bit of a break here. Yeah, so I start, saying, because at this point I was around like 800 and 900 songs, so I was like, oh, can I get to 1,000? And I started telling people about the playlist more. And Noah had added a bunch of stuff before, but here he really started to ramp up and be like, hey, add a bunch of Euro beat to the playlist, which it's not bad. Yeah, most of it's actually pretty good, but and he added this album, Full on Cool. I don't know what anime this is from, but I can tell you the songs are good. And here's the last NXS album, Switch. I think it's one of the best ones. Their last one, their first and last one, and then Kick are the top three. And then I shared the playlist more, so this is Jack Tidler, add a bunch of stuff. Yeah, most of this is, I like most of this, although I don't know if I would ever grabbed it. Oh, and then Sean Kelly, of course, because that's what he's like. But yeah, Noah adds more stuff. Peter starts adding. There's a bit of a fight here between Peter and Noah to see who can get more songs on a playlist. Noah eventually wins because Peter is lazy, but yeah, a bunch of stuff here. This is from a game, I think, but Peter adds more here. Some of this stuff I think I had before. Noah adds a bunch of Sonic music to the playlist, which I like a lot of it, but and then the Doom soundtrack. And then Luke Wolfetzapelli. He adds a bunch of anime and game music to the playlist. A lot of it's good. I'm not sure what band this is. I guess Pop Up, but their songs are really good. Let's see here. More game music. Oh, and here's the 1,000th song. It was at 999, so I added this one. And at this point, I was just sort of waiting for it to cool down a little bit. So I wasn't adding any music. I was just listening to all the stuff that they added. And then John starts adding stuff. A lot of these have already been added to the playlist. He somehow managed to add them again, so that was a little awkward. But and then some of this stuff is new, still. A lot of good stuff. And then Adrian added Thundercat, which is it's interesting. I don't know. if I would have ever listened to this music if it hadn't been added. So let's see here. A lot of Sean added 100 gex, which I didn't really like, but you know, always had the thing that I wouldn't get rid of stuff if people added it to the playlist in good faith. Jack Sheridan adds a little bit here. Oh, and here I decide I'm gonna start listening to Adele because it cools down a little bit here, and Adele only has 3 albums, so it did not take long. And then here I decide ABBA. I kind of regret doing it though because they have so many albums, but none of them are really stellar. I do like some of their first ones more, I think, but their later ones are also pretty good. And of course, Noah's still adding this. So, but at this point, it's Christmas 2020. So that took us through the fall and the summer because Noah added this song for Christmas time. Noah's still adding stuff even this back, and I'm still going through ABBA. So I had to re-add some of the Adele songs and some of the ABBA songs later on. You'll see Spacefish. That's a friend of mine's band. They've only released 1 or 2 songs, but they're good. ABBA. Finishing ABBA. Yeah, see, I have to add Adele again. And I decided I was going to listen to Pink, but the first album was so crappy that I decided to instead take a break and do the Half-Life soundtracks because I had finished those games. So here's the Half-Life soundtrack, and you can see I'm re-adding ABBA. It used to be lower on the playlist, but it got gotten rid of. It got deleted by YouTube, so I had to go find the new ones. And here is Half-Life 2 soundtrack, and that was the most recent one. That's the most recent one that I listened to this past weekend. So yeah, that's Michael's Minty Music, and I have this big spreadsheet that I can go to that has all the songs in it, and if we pull this up, it loads, it has these cool, hold on, loading, pie charts with all of the artists based on time and length and count of songs, and then the people who added them. So obviously I'm the top adder, but it used to be like 80%, now it's only 70, because Noah added like 10, a bunch of songs, and then Peter's added a bunch and stuff like that. And then people keep adding. You can see Jack added his song, that's Andy. So, yeah. Michael's Minty Music. Feel free to check it out. I'll leave a link in the description.